Broncos Country, we have two big stories today, and both of them are connected to something I think every Broncos fan has been watching very closely as we get closer to the season. First, we finally got an answer about a decision for Friday night that is going to tell us a lot about how Denver is handling one of the most important pieces of this entire season. And look, I know it is preseason. I know these games do not count in the standings. But when you have spent the entire offseason waiting, watching, and wondering how things are progressing behind the scenes, every decision matters. And this one definitely caught my attention. But that is only our first story today, because the second one goes much deeper. There is a new update about where things actually stand physically, what the Broncos have been seeing in training camp, and why the coaching staff seems to feel very good about where this is headed. And there is another major change happening on offense that we are going to talk about too, because Friday night is not just another preseason game. We could be getting our first real look at something that might change the way this offense operates this season. So yeah, we have two Broncos stories to get into today, and there is a lot here that matters beyond just one preseason game. And before we get into that first story, if you are excited for this Broncos season, hit that like button. I am Andrew, and this channel is still brand new, so we are building this community from the ground up with a first goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. But I only want you subscribing if you are a real Broncos fan and you actually want to be here talking about this team with us every day. If that is you, subscribe and be part of this thing from the beginning. Because there is something pretty cool about being able to say you were here before we even hit that first 1,000. Alright, Broncos Country, let us get into the first story. Sean Payton has officially made his decision about Bo Nix for Friday night's preseason opener against the Atlanta Falcons. Bo Nix will not play. And before anybody starts getting nervous about that, the important part here is that this does not sound like a setback. It does not sound like Bo had some kind of problem in practice. And it definitely does not sound like the Broncos suddenly became concerned about his recovery. Actually, everything Sean Payton is saying points in the opposite direction. Denver is going on the road to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, and Payton said the Broncos plan to play most of their starters for somewhere around 10 to 15 snaps. There will be some exceptions, obviously. And the biggest one is Bo Nix. And considering everything Bo has been through since January, I am completely fine with this decision. Remember, Nix fractured his right ankle in the closing minutes of Denver's AFC Divisional Round playoff win over the Buffalo Bills. He underwent surgery shortly after that game to repair the fracture, and then in April, he needed a second procedure to address bone spurs in that same ankle. So, we are talking about two surgeries on the right ankle in a matter of months. That matters. Bo missed most of the on-field work during Denver's offseason program, and when mandatory minicamp arrived in June, his throwing work was still limited. Now, fast forward to training camp, and things have changed dramatically. Bo has been practicing fully since camp began, and according to Sean Payton, he has actually taken the same number of training camp snaps that he took last summer. That is a huge detail to me. Because when you hear that your starting quarterback had 2 ankle procedures during the offseason, naturally you wonder how far behind he might be. You wonder if he is getting enough work. You wonder if Denver is having to change the practice plan around him. You wonder if he is still being protected. Apparently, that has not been the case. Payton made it very clear that if this were a regular season game, Bo would be playing. And Bo wants to play. Payton said that if they were preparing for a regular season game, Nix would probably be at 100% and would be out there. He also said Bo is exactly where the Broncos hoped he would be at this point. That should make Broncos fans feel a whole lot better. And there is another interesting part of this decision. Mercedes-Benz Stadium normally uses artificial turf for Falcons games. Sean Payton did not say the playing surface was the reason for holding Nix out, so we should not pretend that he did. The stadium used grass during World Cup matches this summer, but for Falcons games, it goes back to artificial turf. Meanwhile, Denver plays its home games on grass at Empower Field at Mile High. Whether the turf factored into the thinking privately or not, we do not know. Payton did not say that. What we do know is that Denver has absolutely no reason to take an unnecessary risk with Bo in the first preseason game. So instead, Jarrett Stidham and Sam Ehlinger are getting the quarterback work against Atlanta. Stidham is expected to start, and Payton said Stidham and Ehlinger will each play one half. And honestly, that makes Friday pretty interesting for a completely different reason. We already know who the Broncos starting quarterback is. There is no mystery there. This gives Denver an opportunity to evaluate the quarterbacks behind Bo Nix in a real game environment while keeping Bo out of unnecessary danger. The rest of the Broncos starters are expected to get roughly 15 plays, and there is one notable name included in that group. Linebacker Jonathan Cooper. Peyton confirmed Cooper will play. Cooper was arrested twice within a 7-day period in June on domestic violence charges. He is facing a felony charge of second-degree assault by strangulation along with 3 misdemeanor charges, including violating a protection order. When Peyton was asked about Cooper, he said the Broncos have to continue gathering information. That is obviously a serious situation, and it is one the organization is going to have to continue monitoring as more information becomes available. On the Atlanta side, Kevin Stefanski is also planning to give his starters some work. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and the Falcons starters are expected to play approximately 1 series or around 10 plays. So we are going to see some legitimate starters on both sides Friday night. We just will not see Bo Nix. But Bo's preseason is not being eliminated. That is another really important part of this. Sean Payton said Nix is expected to play in Denver's final 2 preseason games, both of which will be at home at Empower Field at Mile High. The Broncos host the Green Bay Packers on August 21st, and then they host the Minnesota Vikings on August 28th. So instead of throwing Bo out there immediately in Atlanta, Denver can wait another week, put him back on the field at home against Green Bay, and then give him another opportunity against Minnesota before the regular season begins. And Bo himself sounds ready for it. After Monday's practice, Nick said he was excited about preseason because it gives players a chance to get back onto the field, get their feet wet, and see defenses in a live situation before the games actually start counting. And I love hearing that because Bo does not sound like a quarterback who is afraid of that ankle. Actually, that leads us directly into our second story today, because the deeper update on Bo Nix might be even more encouraging than the decision to sit him Friday night. Everything coming out of Denver right now suggests Bo is on track. And I mean genuinely on track. Not just the usual vague training camp language teams sometimes give us when they do not want to reveal too much. Bo has said during camp that he feels completely normal. More importantly, he does not believe those surgeries are going to change the way he plays football. That is massive. Because one of the things that makes Bo dangerous is his ability to move. You do not want him coming back from an ankle injury thinking about that ankle every time the pocket collapses. You do not want hesitation. You do not want a quarterback who used to escape, roll out and create something suddenly deciding to stay planted because somewhere in the back of his mind he is worried about getting hurt again. Bo basically said that is not how he plans to play. He said he is still going to roll out and be as athletic as he can be because movement is one of his strengths. He talked about how playing that way makes him feel free and allows him to be at his best. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. And Sean Payton has already seen evidence of it. Payton specifically pointed to a play during training camp when Nix made a throw on the run to a wide receiver. Payton described it as a really good sign and a really good throw. That might sound like one little training camp moment, but considering what this guy's ankle has been through since January, I do not think it is little at all. You want to see him plant, you want to see him move, you want to see him escape, you want to see him throw while moving, and most importantly, you want to see him doing all of that naturally rather than protecting himself. So when Payton says Bo is where they hoped he would be, and Bo says he feels completely normal, and then we are hearing about him making throws on the move in practice, those pieces start fitting together. Now, does that mean I want to see Bo taking unnecessary hits in August? Absolutely not. Keep him out Friday. I want Bo Nix healthy when the games actually matter. There will be plenty of opportunities for him to get those live preseason reps against Green Bay and Minnesota. And there is another reason those reps could be particularly valuable this year, because this offense is going through an important change. Friday against Atlanta will be Denver's first game since Sean Payton gave up offensive play calling duties this offseason to offensive coordinator Davis Webb. And that is something I am really interested to watch. Webb served as Denver's quarterbacks coach for the previous 3 seasons. So this is not somebody walking into the building with no relationship with these quarterbacks or no understanding of Payton's offense. He knows this group. He knows Bo. He knows what this offense has been building. And we have already seen at least a glimpse of what Webb can do calling plays. He handled the play calling in Denver's preseason victory over the Arizona Cardinals last year, and the Broncos produced more than 500 yards of offense in that game. Now, I am not going to sit here and pretend one preseason performance means Denver is automatically going to become an unstoppable offensive machine under Davis Webb. That would be ridiculous. But more than 500 yards is going to get your attention. And now this is not just a Wongian preseason experiment. Sean Payton has handed those responsibilities over to Webb for the season. That creates another layer to everything we are watching. We want to see how aggressive Webb will be. We want to see how much the offense will change. We want to see how his relationship with Bo Nix affects the way he calls games. And when Bo finally gets his preseason snaps against Green Bay and Minnesota, we are going to get our first opportunity to see Nix operating in a game with Webb handling those responsibilities. That is what makes these next few weeks so fascinating. Friday night gives Jarrett Stidham and Sam Ehlinger their opportunity. We get to see the other starters for those roughly 10 to 15 snaps. We get our first real preseason look at Davis Webb calling the offense after taking over those duties. Then Bo enters the picture. First Green Bay, then Minnesota. And then it is time to get serious. After the preseason ends, Denver will have until August 30th to finalize its initial 53-man roster for the 2026 NFL season. That means every one of these preseason opportunities matters for guys fighting for jobs, fighting for roles, and trying to convince this coaching staff that they deserve to be part of this roster. But when it comes to Bo Nix, the goal is different. This is not about proving he belongs. It is about getting him completely ready for the regular season without being reckless about a quarterback who underwent 2 surgeries on the same ankle this offseason. And from everything Sean Payton is telling us, the Broncos believe they have found that balance. I think that is the biggest takeaway from both stories today. The headline is that Bo Nix is not playing against Atlanta, but the story underneath that headline is much more encouraging. Denver is not sitting him because he cannot play. They are sitting him even though Payton believes he could play if this were the regular season. There is a massive difference between those two situations. Bo is practicing fully. His training camp workload is where Denver wants it. He says the ankle feels normal. He intends to keep using his athleticism. Payton is seeing encouraging throws on the move, and the plan is already in place for him to play in each of the final 2 preseason games. For Broncos Country, after watching that divisional round win over Buffalo, and with Bo suffering that fractured ankle, I think this is about as encouraging an August update as we could realistically ask for. But now comes the part that really matters. We need to see that progress continue. We need to see Bo come through these preseason reps healthy. We need Davis Webb and this offense to find their rhythm. And when the regular season arrives, we need to see Bo playing free again. Moving, creating, extending plays, and trusting that right ankle without thinking twice about it. Because expectations around this team are not small anymore. The Broncos have reached the point where simply being competitive is not enough. After what they accomplished last season, people want to know how much further this team can go. And Bo Nix is going to be right in the middle of that conversation. So yeah, I am perfectly happy letting him watch Friday night from the sideline. Give Stidham and Ehlinger their halves. Give the starters their limited work. Let Davis Webb get comfortable calling the offense. Then bring Bo back at home when Denver believes the timing is right. Because nobody is going to remember in a few months whether Bo Nix played 10 snaps against Atlanta in August. We are going to care about whether number 10 is healthy when this team is chasing something much bigger. And now, I want to hear from you, Broncos Country. Do you agree with Sean Payton's decision to sit Bo Nix against the Falcons? And after everything we are hearing about his recovery, how confident are you that Bo is going to look like himself when the regular season begins? Drop your opinion in the comments because I really want to know where Broncos fans stand on this one. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Bears News Daily is still a brand new channel, and our first goal is 1,000 subscribers. But subscribe only if you genuinely believe in where this Broncos team is headed and you want to be part of these conversations with us throughout the season. If you are one of those fans, join us now and be able to say you were here from the beginning as we chase our first 1,000 subscribers. I am Andrew, and I will see you in the next one.